Hey guys, welcome to today's demo on the different brushes that are preloaded in Photoshop. Something that's good to know is that if you do want to seriously pursue digital painting, there are many more brushes that you can download from Photoshop or on Adobe's website, as well as other brushes that are actually sold by third-party companies and artists for your use. So with this particular assignment, there's going to be six different cells, and then in each one of those cells, we're going to be using a different brush and expressing three different marks. The first one is going to be your brush size, and then your brush angle, so like what what angle the actual brush is oriented in, and then lastly your brush gesture. It would be helpful to note that you don't want to have your brush be super big because you don't really have all that much space to draw in here. And within this file, you're going to leave your white adjustment layer alone. It's locked, and you're going to actually draw on the work layer, which you can see is the topmost layer within this Photoshop file. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to change my color to red just so we can see it. If you want to use a different color, be my guest. But I'm going to make mine red just so that you guys can actually see what's going on here. Now, to get to the actual brushes, up in your options bar at the top, you're going to see this indication of the different brushes. Next to the brush icon, this is going to open up into tool presets. If you go to the actual indication of the brush point and click on that, it'll open up this window. You can actually see different categories of brushes. And then if you click on this folder right here, that's going to pop open your brush settings folder or window, which gets into like a lot more that we're going to cover in today's class. So I'm going to just introduce those in the options bar. And you can see I've got my brush already loaded. If you don't have your brush loaded, hotkey B will get that loaded for you. So I'm going to go to the third option here, the brush preset picker. I'm going to click on that little arrow, and then the actual brushes that we'll be working with today will be the dry media brushes. And so if you click the little arrow to the left of that folder, you're going to see these 6 brushes that are existing here. And you'll notice they'll actually correlate with the different names above each one of those cells. So I'm going to go to the first one, the Kyle Ultimate Pencil Hard. So it indicates that it's actually a pencil and that it's also in the firmness as hard. When you look at most of your pencils, I'm going to see if I can show this on camera. This one will actually indicate HB right here, so that refers to as hard black. And so when they indicate it here in Photoshop, that's a reference to the actual pencil. To get out of this window, you just click once, and you'll notice it actually like puts a little mark when you click on there. So sometimes what I'll do if I'm in that preset is I'll click out in the off of the actual canvas so that I don't make a mark that's unnecessary or not wanted. Okay, so first thing, brush size. So I'm going to increase the brush until I can actually see it previewed, and I just click and drag across the actual canvas. You can see my mode is normal, so your blending mode can be changed here. The opacity can also be changed. Right now it's at 100%. The flow is at 30. That's kind of like how the pieces like sit on top of each other. If I increase the flow, you can see it gets a lot more opaque. Smoothing is going to control like how nice and smooth the actual line will go. And then you'll see this last thing here is we've got our angle, and then it looks like we also have some like symmetry as well, which is kind of cool. So if you did like vertical symmetry, done. If I draw on one side of the line, it makes a symmetrical image on the other side, which is kind of cool. Anyways, we're not going to be getting into those things, but I want you to know that they're there, just so if you're wondering like what's happening up there. So opacity is 100, flow is at 100. I'll put smoothing to 100. and I'll set my angle to 0. And I'm just going to make one pass. So I'm just going to change all of those settings in the options bar and just drag across once. So I've got one move. I'm going to change my brush angle and drag, or the brush size, so the tip is smaller. So now I've got 2. I'll change the angle as well, and this is a kind of cool thing to see here. So if I increase with brackets, you can see by actually holding the right arrow, this will change the actual angle of the brush. So I can click like this. I can click like this, and now the orientation of those marks are at different angles. All right. You can also notice that the opacity changes, again, dealing with flow, and some other things that you can actually control within the brush. All right, and then last move I'm going to do is gesture. So gesture is just kind of like how freely you go about drawing here. So I'm just going to do something other than a straight line and do like a squiggly or a curved line. So there's another gesture. All right, space bar hand grab. I'm going to move into the next area. So Kyle's drawing box. This is Happy HB. Again, HB is a reference to your pencil, which is hard black. So I'm going to go up to my options bar, select Kyle's drawing box Happy HB. I'm going to increase, click once in the negative space there, increase my brush size. You can see it's a different point, and I'm going to click out. Kind of looks softer than the other one. I'm going to drop my brush size and get a different stroke there. I'll increase the brush again, and I'm going to click once. I'm going to do my left arrow. Again, this is on the actual key arrows, the up, down, left, right. So if I go to the left, you can see it's rotating to the left. And then if I go to the right, you can see it rotates to the right. If for some reason you don't like how the actual brush is rotated, you can always go up to your options bar and set it back to 0, and then it's back to normal. All right, last one, I'll do my gesture. Again, I'm just going to kind of go for it here, just have fun, just to see kind of like how the brush actually moves. Notice as well, my smoothing is set to 0, so that had a much more active pose to it. All right, Ultimate Charcoal Pencil, 25 pixel, medium 2. Don't know what the designer was thinking when he named it that, but it probably means something to him. So click in the off canvas space. I'm going to increase my brush size with the brackets. Click and drag once. It's kind of cool. Make it smaller. Click and drag. I'll make my brush a little bit bigger. I'm going to rotate with my left arrow. I'll click once. Rotate with my right arrow. I'll click once. Notice if you click and hold, it keeps adding. So it's something good to know about. Some of these brushes actually scatter as you hold them down. Then last move I'll do here is a gestural one. So I'm just going to move around, and there's my gestural mark. All right, moving right along. It's my the Kyle bonus chunky charcoal. Almost sounds like ice cream or something. So I'm going to click on this one in my options bar. I'll click and drag across. There we go. You can see this one, it actually auto rotates the brush after every single click. So these are settings that designers will actually put into a brush just to create more variety or more randomness. I'm going to undo those. I'm going to make my brush smaller so I have a different size. I'll make my brush big now. Click once. Again, if I want to rotate it a different direction, I can hold down the left arrow or right arrow, and I can get that desired orientation. Move it one more time. This one I'll click and hold just so you can see that scatter effect taking place. And you can see it's like rotating as you hold it there. It's kind of continuously rotating that brush. Make my brush a little bit smaller, and then I'm just going to do my free gestural stroke. All right, Kyle's Ultimate Paste Palooza or Pastel Palooza. Apparently I can't read. I'm going to increase the brush, make a straight line across. I'm going to see if this one rotates. Clicking, it looks like it does rotate. If you click and hold, what does it do? It does some like rotation with movement. I'm going to do a smaller brush, click and drag a straight line, and then I'll do my gestural mark. That one got a little crazy. Control Z. There we go. So again, notice each brush kind of has its own personality that comes with it. So it's important to know what you're working with and keep that in consideration when you're actually looking for a specific look. All right, last one is not an actual paintbrush, but it's an eraser. So I'm going to click and hold here. Kyle's eraser, natural edge. And because we have this gray kind of rounded rectangle on here, we can actually use this eraser to erase through it. So I'm going to wipe away the top part. I'm going to change the brush size and wipe through the middle. I'm going to click once on it, change the orientation of the brush, click twice, change the orientation of the brush. And what's helpful to know with erasers is like the more times you click, the more it kind of cuts through that actual shape. Then last move I'll make is just a free gestural move through the bottom there. So this is our basic introduction to the preloaded dry media brushes that are currently on Photoshop. If you don't have those brushes, please let me know and I can help you download them. But the main thing here is to, again, have at least 3 marks that you're making, change brush size, change the angle of the brush, and then have some sort of like freehand gestural mark. And you can see in most cases I have close to 6 different marks that I've made to express those different changes. All right, guys, take care.